Okay, hi guys. Today I'm gonna be starting a series for my beginners. Um, this video is only gonna focus on basically how the pawn moves, how the pawns move, and how the king moves. So very, very basic for my beginners. Alright, let's start off here. If you're advanced, I recommend you don't watch this video. You probably know most of it already. This is really for beginners who just don't even understand how pawns move or how the king moves. Alright, well, now you see, this is the starting position. The white king will start on e1, and the black king will always start on e8. The pawns will always start on the second row in front of their respected kings. And there are pieces here, but for this video, I'm only showing you how to move the king and how the pawns move. Alright, so let's make a pawn move. Now, when the pawns respectively have not been touched on their second rank, we'll call this a rank, this A2 coordinate, this B2 coordinate, this is the second rank. When a pawn is not moved yet, it is allowed to move 2 spaces out. So for instance, I could move this pawn here. Once the pawn is moved 2 spaces out, it can only continue to move 1 space out. So for instance, let me make a random pawn move here. This pawn right here, cannot move 2 spaces. It can only move 1 forward. It will only be able to move forward for the rest of the game. Pawns cannot travel backwards. Okay. Now, chess is a turn-based game, so I just made a move with this pawn forward. Now, it's black's turn to move. Black has the right to move a pawn. Even if his pawns, this goes for white as well, even if the player's pawns are on their second rank, they do have the option to only move 1. This pawn can move here. This pawn can move here or here because they have not moved yet. This pawn can only move 1 out. Let's say this pawn moves out 1. Our pawn right here can only move 1 forward, but it can't do that now because there's a piece on it. But then you'll probably ask me, can't a pawn somehow eat material? Yes, but pawns can only eat materials diagonally. So let's put another pawn move on the board here. Just a few real quick. All I did was push this pawn out 2, push this one out 1. This one could have gone 2. I put these 2 pawns here. It's white's turn. White cannot eat this pawn here because it is in front of him. White can only eat the pawns diagonally. So for instance, white can take like this, and black can respectfully take back. You don't have to eat the pieces in chess. It's not mandatory. Now, I think we have a basic understanding of the pawns. Just remember, at the beginning, pawns are allowed to move 2 spaces out, but until then, they can only move 1 forward. Pawns can never go backwards. Pawns can never go to the side. If a pawn is in front of another pawn, then that pawn cannot advance forward. It can only eat to the side. Another cool thing with these pawns is once a pawn reaches the end of the other rank, the final rank of the other person's piece, whose turn is it here? Okay. You can do something called promote. This useless pawn, which can only move 1 piece, will be able to promote into a queen, a rook, a bishop, or a horse once it reaches the opponent's first rank. Alright. Now for the king. The king is actually the most important piece in chess because, give me a second here, guys. Because the king is what gets checkmated. I'm sure you've heard checkmate before. Alright, well, the king can first of all move any direction. So this white king here can move to c3, c2, c1, d1, e1, e2, e3, but not d3 because there's a pawn on there. This king, for instance, can move here, 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 but not here. The kings can go backwards, but they do not promote like the pawns at the end. The objective of the whole game is to trap the king so that the king cannot move, which means every square around the king is under siege and the king itself is being attacked. Alright, thank you for watching this video, and I hope you get a better understanding of how the pawns move and how the king moves. Alright, till next time.